All right, so we are at Huntington Fit Body Boot Camp, and we're talking with Arne, who has been a member over a year now, and he is an avid cyclist, and he's done Tough Mudder, he's done a Tough Mudder, he's done mud runs, and he's just accomplishing great things. We did do an interview with him where he spoke about all that, and I asked him to come back today, and I wanted him to just tell us a little bit about a pretty severe injury he had to his right arm, and when he first started boot camp, what he was able to do with that arm, and now what he's accomplished with the hard work he's put in. So tell us a little bit, Arne, what happened, the original injury to your arm.
Okay, fine. So in 2007, I was up on a ladder and the bottom of the ladder slipped out, and I ended up falling directly to the floor, probably about 10 or 12 feet, right onto my elbow, which shattered the arm, the elbow, and all the bones in in my arm. And the interesting thing is that after the surgery, to put everything back together again, which is really what they do, is they put the bones back together again. The orthopedist said the most important thing you can do now is get into physical therapy as quickly as you can, and I started about 3 weeks later. He said this is going to take about a year to 2 years to get back together. He says, but if you do nothing, your arm probably will just be dead, because it was pretty much on a right angle and just hanging there for a long, long time, and nothing moved. In the 4.5 days between the accident and when we were able to do the surgery, basically all the muscles and tendons and everything, they kind of like die very quickly. So I got into physical therapy. I worked out like 3 times a day. Like most of you know that have been injured, you go through a lot of pain in the therapy, but it's like healing pain rather than injury pain. So it made it feel a little bit better. So that took about 2 years. It took, after the therapy was done, it took me quite a while to ride on the bicycle again, because just leaning on the bicycle with my arm would hurt a lot. So I'd get about maybe 10 minutes or 15 minutes I had to stop. But I kept on doing it, and as time went by, the arm got better. When I started here at boot camp, although everything in my arm pretty much worked, it doesn't straighten out all the way, and it's pretty much bionic. It's put together. As a matter of fact,
can you show us the picture?
I don't know if you can see this picture. This was just an old picture of an X-ray of what it looked like. You can see it's all screwed together, and there's
all
plates,
the hardware. Yep, in your upper arm and your lower, and the forearm and the elbow.
My elbow was gone. It was the bones in the elbow were broken apart, and all the 3 bones that make up the bottom of the arm and the top of the arm, they were all shattered into multiple pieces.
And that hardware is still in. You still have every screw in that arm.
Yeah. That hardware is still in. And the doctor said, he says, the bones heal, and within about 6 months, the bones will heal to 100%. He said it's basically all the muscles and tendons and things that hold you together that is the real challenge to do. So anyway, when I started at boot camp, so the arm got better, and it got to the point where I could do, there were a lot of things I could do and things that I couldn't do. When I got down to boot camp, I was concerned about starting here because I thought that there would be a lot of things that I just wouldn't be able to do, and I certainly didn't want to hurt myself again. But what I learned is that that given time, by doing the exercises, and then if you can't do things, like for a while I could not hold myself up with this arm at all, because it's slightly bent, and then it pushes into the shoulder the wrong way. And so as a result, I really had no strength. So I would just collapse to the floor if I tried to do this. But after a couple of months, I started to feel like for a second I could take one hand up and lean on this hand. And now I can do most of the exercises on the arm. When it does start to get a little bit sore during the exercise, I go down to the elbow, and then I just rest on my shoulder, and that works good. But,
so a big thing was learning how to work around it and build up to it. And the trainers and myself, having the knowledge just to kind of teach you what to do and not do, was that helpful? Well, because I think that's really the key for people to work with injuries.
I think that's a very important part of it. That so when one thing breaks, or when one thing is injured, there's a lot of other muscles around it that can sort of learn how to cope and learn how to how to like get you to do the things that you need to do. And through that whole process, through the process of moving, you're getting more blood flow to an area, which always helps you to heal and helps you to get strengthened. And then by trying to do things, like I've found, like even silly things that I've learned, like even if I have my hands out like this and something hurts, sometimes I just have to move my hands a little bit in one direction or another, and it makes a huge difference. And
now all of a sudden you can do that exercise.
And then I can do it,
Yeah.
and then later on I can do it the right way because the muscles around have strengthened up, so that now I can get back to the position that I couldn't in the in the first place, because body's really pretty incredible, and it can cope with a lot of different things and get you better.
Well, you are wonderful. And you come in here and you work extremely hard. So we're not taking any of that away from you. I mean, you work extremely hard, and you trusted us, and you did what we, recommended you do, so you didn't get re-injured. And look what you've accomplished now. I mean, you're cycling better than ever. You've done a Tough Mudder. You've done other mud runs. You're going across the monkey bars, climbing ropes. I mean, you're amazing. And thank you for trusting us.
Well, thank you.
And thank you for telling people, because you're going to encourage a lot of people, because people really do get scared. They get scared to start any exercise program, especially when they hear boot camp, when they have injuries, and you're gonna definitely I think help some people out. So thank you. And
one of the just the last thing is that just being down here, when you first start working out, these workouts are pretty intense. And at the beginning, as an example, about the third week that I was here, I was jumping up on one of the benches and I pulled a little something in my back, and that took about 3 weeks to overcome and to get better.
Right.
But about last week we were doing a workout, and at the very, very end, I was doing something where I felt a little twinge again, but you know what now? The next day it was gone. So,
right.
Like you strengthen yourself up so that you become more resilient and you prevent injuries in the future, which is great.
That's awesome. Thank you. Thank you for sharing, because really, like I said, you're going to help people just from what you're saying. So thank you so much.
I hope it helps.
Thank you.
Okay.